What's really good about those types of incentives is it causes things to happen. I don't think we'd have Tallgrass, the addition that is so extremely successful and getting ready to expand again, without the RHID, because it allows those taxes to be abated to the future.
More housing and business growth is in process in Hays. I'm Becky Kiser, Hays Post Eagle Radio News reporter. I'm talking with Hays Vice Mayor Sandy Jacobs and Deputy City Manager Collin Bielser on this episode of the Hays Post podcast.
When I first ran for office, I said, there's a lot of people that are looking out for tomorrow. I'm looking out for 25 years from now. And I think that we have stayed really focused on that. We've tried to act accordingly to drive the economy sustainably with housing, but we're also looking way out. And that's, you see things like our community center, the Grove, which is going to be a larger development. But the greatest thing about that is we finally are seeing some private investment. We knew that we were going to put some incentives out there. It doesn't change how we look at things, but it gives other people the opportunity or the idea, maybe we can do this. Maybe there is a need. And it's causing some big development coming too.
Well, Collin, we're going to ask you the technical questions about, and everything passed overwhelmingly approved by city commissioners last night. But we're talking about some RHIDs and IRBs for some housing down, in various parts of towns, and also some expansion in the downtown area. So tell us, how complicated is this? There's a process, a lot of steps that the city has to go through.
There are many, many steps. Yeah. Grow Hays keeps the city of Hays staff busy. So, I mean, it involves an application process, and then we coordinate between various attorneys, bond counsel, in order to establish these agreements that the developer will do these things, and in exchange, the city's willing to do these things. And so it all comes together months. It takes months by statute to get through the process. So it's very well vetted and examined by lots of eyes.
And probably one of the questions that's on many people's minds, many residents, is how does it affect people's property taxes? Is it going to?
So the RHID, no, individually, no, out where I live, no, my property taxes won't be impacted by the RHIDs or the IRBs that are issued for other things. So, nope.
What's really good about those types of incentives is it causes things to happen. I don't think we'd have Tallgrass, the addition that is so extremely successful and getting ready to expand again, without the RHID, because it allows those taxes to be abated to the future. And it's really important for the developer. It's like the IRBs. The IRBs don't cost the city, for all intents and purposes, that doesn't cost the city anything. But they are allowed to purchase locally without sales tax. And it really makes a huge difference in developments.
One other thing we might point out to Collin is in a couple of these instances when it comes to housing, and I'm thinking of the Depot Edition, which is downtown, where close to the university and where the old Santa Fe Railroad Depot used to be, is a great example of what is called infill. And there are some advantages to that.
Oh, there's lots of advantages. We're not building new water, new sewer. It's more cost effective on the developer. It's more cost effective on the city because it's the infrastructure. We've been taking care of that infrastructure, for decades.
That's the oldest part of Hays, for a long time.
And so we're not adding more infrastructure. We're just improving infrastructure, actually, that's been there for very, very long time.
We love expanding the city, but there's so many opportunities for infill. And I think people are starting to realize that a lot of I'd say builders have, bought properties and taken them down and put new ones in and we cheer them on because it doesn't cost us another dollar of infrastructure.
Those private developers that you're so proud of, Sandy, do they do this on their own? Do they come to the city first and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. What can you do for me? I know we have an economic development policy.
Well, and we do have an economic development policy, and that's pretty much monitored by Grow Hays. And we'll refer people down to Grow Hays and let them develop their whole plan, up to and including actual plans, plats and how to plat and how to move forward. And they're great. Not just Doug, but the other two guys down there, James and David, they can help people get it to the point that they're ready to bring it to the city.
That saves a lot of time, on one end anyway.
It really does.
You are a huge proponent of downtown Hays, and a couple other things I wanted to specifically mention were, and I don't know if the Chestnut Suites, if we're considering that housing or or business development, or both? Both. Okay. Private development and kind of an infill in a building that's been vacant for a long time.
Yes, and I know. I mean, Adam Prey's doing that, and I cheer so many people on that are investing in our community, particularly downtown. And Adam has invested a lot. The hard thing about that, it's going to be like an Airbnb, but it's going to be suites. It's something we've needed downtown for a long time. What's awful about it is he originally applied to the State Historical Society for grants, and I don't know what he actually went through, but he can't change the exterior for 5 years from when he was given that. We've still got 4 years to go. So it's going to have this beautiful interior and still have this outside that looks like that. But he's ready as soon as he can to pull the plug and change it. So he's done a wonderful job with everything he's done downtown.
And then also right near the same area, Gellis is going to be doing some expansion.
That is really exciting because I don't think there's anything like it around here. Last night when I saw how drawn out, that was the first time I'd really seen it. But it's going to be a venue, if you will, but it's also going to be a culinary kitchen in cooperation with, and I'm not going to say the right,
Fort
Hays North Central Tech.
Yes.
Fort Hays North Central Tech. So it's going to be in cooperation with that. And I think it's just another piece that adds a bit of uniqueness to our downtown. And as I've said forever, our downtown is at a tipping point all the time. If we don't keep it going in the right direction, it can fall the other way really quickly. So it's having someone invest more money is wonderful and something really different.
Another thing that the commissioners approved last night after considerable discussion the week before during the work session were some fee increases for the golf course, the municipal golf course, and Hayes Aquatic Park. And Sandy, you've always talked about these are things that are considered quality of life and not necessarily designed to make money for the city.
Exactly, particularly the pool. We need that beautiful pool. It's 24 years old. 24 years old, and I remember when it happened. We had buses coming here from Dodge City, from Ellis, from Waukene, bringing their kids over. Well, all of these communities have done their own thing, and so we don't have those buses coming anymore. So we always have to be thinking about the future. You know, they do a great job with upkeep. Everything's beautiful, and it is really still a great structure, but we have to think about the future, and I'm not worried about making money on it. This is a quality of life thing for our families and keeping people out and about and doing things.
Collin, I know the city, there's a relationship between the Parks Department specifically with Jeff Boyle, the director, and then the Hayes Recreation Commission and who takes care of what. Explain that relationship to us.
Yeah, they work really well. So essentially the city of Hayes takes care of the infrastructure. You know, the parks, we're mowing them. The pool, we're the ones repairing the, pumps and things like that. And we work in Hayes Rec a lot, but what Hayes Rec really does is more the management side of things, scheduling games, running the pool. So it's a really good relationship between the two parties.
And then they have their own board. Do they get involved in these recommended cost increases?
We always reach out to them and ask their, what their feelings are, their inputs, because they also, help cost share in the pool because it does lose money. It's a loss leader for the community, as Commissioner Jacobs said, and so they are financially involved in this as well. So we want to make sure that where everyone's on the same page.
Well, last year they stepped up even more voluntarily. We didn't ask them to pay more. They stepped up and said, we're going to take care of this much more. These kinds of collaborations is what makes this community what it is.
And we should point out that both the golf course and the Hayes Aquatic Park, the cost to participate in both of those get compared to similar communities, Collin, when we're not at the top of the list by any means.
Oh, no. In many places, I'd say we're on the bottom third, Yeah, it's if you look at other towns, even really smaller towns
right, that
have maybe not as nice amenities, where Hayes is very, very affordable for those two features.
And that golf course is just turned. I mean, I started playing golf on that course a long time ago in the 80s. It was so dirty. It was like a cow pasture. I couldn't complain. I mean, I couldn't compare it to anything else. You come home, your bags, your clothes, everything were dirty. It is so beautiful out there now. It's something really to be proud of for our community.
Well, let's talk about another meeting that the commission had recently, the joint meeting with Ellis County Commissioner Sandy. And I know that you talked about being very grateful that the commissioners got together and just to be able to talk and update each other on projects is something that needs to occur often, or maybe more often anyway. And a couple of the projects that were discussed in depth, maybe not any action going to happen right away, but we're talking about a couple joint road projects.
We are, and I am very proud of the two sitting bodies for getting together and talking, because that was one goal when I first ran for office 7 years ago, was to bring people together, and we've all had that attitude. And those three county commissioners are terrific, and of course I love our commission now. So the two roads we did talk about, and Colin's going to have to jump in here probably, but 48th Street was one. The other one is, I always forget which exit. That's 161. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. 161 is Commerce Parkway going north, and then 41st Street coming into town. So the county would really like to have that done. I've always thought we should. I think it's a great new entrance into our community. So that's one project we're looking at. And then 48th Street, they'd like to eventually give that to the city because we're so connected and we're growing that way. So we're talking about improvements out there.
Is there discussion, Collin, about how to get this paid for, and would it be a joint plan?
Yeah, right now the way the commissioners are, speaking to each other, it would be joint. The city has offered to participate in a cost share for a grant twice. The county has applied for a grant for 48th Street to improve, I think, about $2.5 million, and the city's offered not only our support in terms of letters of support or anything like that, but also financially contributing that, because
we'd like them just to pay for it, but I don't think that's going to happen.
But in all fairness, the county is helping cost share on our 13th
Absolutely.
Street. That's going to be improving on the east side of town. So
it's great.
It's a good partnership that the two bodies have fostered over the last couple of years.
We also you presented, Collin, an update on the planning for the new Hayes Police Department, which is exciting. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So, obviously there's an agreement between the county and the city that involved dispatch services and us being able to relocate. And then there's another agreement with a private business in order to utilize their space, because it's a great building. It's very solid. And so we have gone out for proposals to get architects and contractors to submit design build proposals on what it would take to renovate the old Astor Bank building as the building. And we expect those proposals due in September, and the commission should see action on the recommended firm probably in October, early November.
And Astor Bank's actually having a groundbreaking September the 6th on their new bank, which will be at the corner of 27th and Main. It'll be a great improvement to that area as well.
And there will be that's a big area. You don't really realize it until you drive past it, and then you realize that's a lot of ground sitting there. There will be some other things besides Astor Bank there, most likely.
We're hoping some retail, and we're hoping for housing on the south side. And my big thing that I love about it is our plan is to extend 26th Street across through the middle of it, which I think will be a huge help on the 27th Street corridor. So it's all good. Everything about it's good.
There was some discussion about future projects. Anything on the plate that either one of you want to talk about that might be a joint city-county project down the line?
I think roads is about it. People think of county and their roads and bridges, and anything we can cooperate. As we continue to grow, we're taking part of their bridge. We're utilizing part of their bridges, part of their roads, and there is a necessity that they come to the city and one or the other maintain. So we're always watching that, and so are they.